Today's Daily Dose of Math is a drawing of orthogonal projection, but just the top view of this wooden sculpture. The sculpture is made from 5 pieces of wood, and I have their dimensions here. 2 of the pieces are 2 feet long, the other 3 pieces are 1 foot long. All of the pieces are 2 inch by 2 inch in cross section. And they were stacked up. These 2 uprights underneath the other pieces were positioned so that they are 6 inches apart, and that puts them each 7 inches from the outside edge of the long piece across the middle. Both of these 2 pieces of wood on the very top are balanced at their midpoints and directly above the uprights. So that is enough information, along with the fact that I know what I consider to be the front of this sculpture, and I'm showing this with this arrow. That's enough information for me to draw my top view. The top view will look like this. And how did I do this? Well, I had to apply my scale, and the scale I chose was 1 to 10. But all of the dimensions are inches, and my graph paper is 1/2 centimeter graph paper, meaning every square on the graph paper is 1/2 centimeter in side length. So the first thing I need to do is convert my inches and feet measurements into centimeters so that then I can apply my scale. I've done that here. 2 feet is 60 centimeters, 1 foot is 30 centimeters, and so on. Once I have converted into centimeters, I then divide by 10 because I'm applying my scale. So 2 feet ends up being represented with a 6 centimeter line on the drawing. And since the squares on the graph paper are 1/2 centimeter in length, that means that a 6 centimeter line is 12 squares in length. This explains how this top piece of wood, for instance, which we know is 2 feet long, 60 centimeters long, has to be drawn with a 6 centimeter line that covers 12 squares. The top view doesn't show the 2 uprights on the bottom because from the very top they would be invisible underneath this cross piece. And the cross piece has to be shown to be underneath the 2 pieces of wood that are lying on top of it. All the dimensions I needed to draw this are shown here. One thing to notice about this drawing is that these 2 top pieces are not drawn so that the corners of them align with the corners of the squares in the graph paper. And that's because I drew the cross piece that's underneath them first. And I drew that one so that it aligns with the corners of the squares. But in order to be faithful to my scale and faithful to the positioning of the objects, that meant that these 2 pieces that are on the top of the sculpture didn't align nicely with the corners of the graph paper squares. Now, I could alter that. I could move the sculpture like this. And now, the 2 pieces on the top of the sculpture are aligning nicely with the corners of the squares in the graph paper, but the cross piece underneath them no longer is. So I had to make a decision, and I decided to do what was convenient in drawing the bottom piece first. I will continue this project by doing a front view and a side view of the same sculpture. But those are the subjects of other videos. That is today's Daily Dose of Math. Please like, subscribe, and share.